Alright, so we have our Eclipse workspace set up the way we want it to. We're going to clean up our code here a little bit as we go, bring these back together. But coding in Eclipse is pretty straightforward and simple, and very much similar to other tools that are out there. The key thing I want you to learn is code complete. So in Eclipse, it doesn't create a main class for you by default. When you create a project, it's empty. It doesn't create any code for you. So if I want a class to have a main method, I can just type the word main and hit Control Space, and Eclipse is smart enough to give you an option to create a main method. I click on that, and you can see a public static void main. It saves me from having to type and remember all that stuff out there. Now, ideally, you should know that a main method is static. It returns void. It has an array of strings, which is the arguments that's coming in. But if you don't remember that, at least Eclipse is there to help you. So now, in Eclipse, I can use that code complete at any point I want to pull up reminders. So system, so java.lang.system, dot, and then you can see it continues, since I typed dot, to give me hints. And so if I want to print something to the screen, you can see it gives me all the different options out there, the error stream, the input stream, the output stream. I hit enter there, I hit dot again, and it pops it up automatically this time. And I can start to type, and it gives me all the options for printing that are out there. So I can do something like print line. Hello. All right. And so there we have written some code using code complete. Past that, the Eclipse editor will help you figure out things such as compiler errors. So I wrote the line of code I is equal to 0. It ends up with this little red over here that says I cannot be resolved to a variable. So what it's saying is, I don't know what I is, because I haven't declared I. It doesn't give you exactly perfectly answers on how Java works, but if it will give you the error the compiler will show you. And I have to go off and remember, oh, gosh, I guess I need to declare this variable beforehand, so I need to make it an int, for instance, to go off and fix that. So then it gives me a warning here that tells me the local variable is not used. So I have a variable I, and it's not used. Now, warnings don't affect the outcome of code. They're just really just kind of heads up of like, hey, you should be aware of this. It could be a problem. It might not be. In this case, it's not a problem at all. It's just excess unused code that's out there. So there's a little bit of some hints on Eclipse as far as the little errors and warnings that show up. Now, these errors and warnings show up as well down here on the Problems menu. And so here you can see I have the error I have up above shows up down here as well. If I go back and I create I equals 7, I write a piece of code like that, you can see I now have another error, and the error says syntax error on token equal invalid operator assignment. Okay, and that's the same thing that would show up here if I look at it here. So the problem shows up down here to give you a hint of where code is going wrong. And I'll show you all the problems for all the files that are out there as well, and all the warnings for all the files. So those two things correlate. And the cool thing here is, let's say again, I'm way somewhere else in the file. I can go and click on this, double click on this, and it'll take me up to that error. Or you can see over here on the right, it actually shows me a red bar. So even if I'm scrolled down here, it shows me a red bar that says, oh, there's an error up here in the file. And so there's a lot of context clues to let you know where your errors are. Anytime you're coding, though, you don't really want to have a bunch of these errors. You might change a line of code and create a bunch of errors, but I don't want to just keep coding. I don't want to come in here and say, j is equal to I plus 6 and out.print I plus j and go from there. So at this point you see I have 3 errors, and it's going to be difficult to kind of sort out what it is because there's multiple markers. J cannot be resolved, out cannot be resolved, J cannot be resolved, I invalid token. I don't want to code like this. I don't want to just keep compounding my problems. I want to fix one problem at a time. So again, I is equal to 7. Okay, I need to say int j here. And I'm starting to fix my problems one at a time because these are simple problems. I just put them out there. And then I can't forget that I want to do I'll copy it from up here, system.out.println j. All right, so that's a little key to being able to code in Eclipse and be able to keep things going.